Hey everyone, this is Pat from Women, Boys, and Girls Club, Kailua on Oahu in Hawaii. Welcoming you back. I'll play a song in a second. It's kind of a time when this song is very appropriate. There's a lot of views going around now. A lot of people are being impacted in different ways than others, and we all share our own opinion. So there's diversity all over the world all the time. The Boys and Girls Club tries to address that with our programs being offered to you guys at different times, different focuses. For instance, I run a homework room in the back instead of having just 1 hour. Do it now. It's like some people like to do their work after school. Some people want to play, eat first, go on their phone first, then come do homework. So we run it over a 3 hour period, so you're covered any way, shape, or form, each afternoon. And that's kind of the name of the game, not just at the club, but in general. You want to understand people are different and they have a right to be that way. So with this coronavirus stuff going around, some people see it one way, some people see it another. So the key is understanding they might think differently than you. Doesn't mean either of you are right or wrong. You just stick by your guns, be able to explain yourself, but also be able to listen to them. Okay? This is a song, it's not a remix, it's a song by a young lady named Nora Jones. And it talks about being true to yourself and not having somebody else try to be you. Okay, here we go. A one, two, three, four. Hey, you get out of my shoes. You don't know what it means to be you. Don't know what it means to be. Don't know what it means to be me. Hey, you don't tell me what to do. You don't know what it means to be well. You don't know what it means to be. You don't know what it means to be free. Hey, you stay out of my head where you don't know what it means to be. Yeah, you don't know what it means to be. Don't know what it means to be my friend. You don't know what it means to be free. You don't know what it means to be. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you, Nora Jones. I'm going to turn off my little amp here. Right, we're going to spin this and do our lesson on algebra. Continuing on with them quadratic functions. Put you onto a math board here. I don't know if you're following all this. If not, you can go back and look at the lessons you missed. If you are following, we're going to just practice today. We're going to practice what we did on the last lesson. So what we learned was there's different forms require different things. If there's no x term here, we have a x squared, a constant, and no x, you can use a table. But when there's an x squared term, the quadratic term, the linear bx, so if there is that term in the constant, you use this formula. And what we use this formula to find are these things. So we have our parabola. That information helps us find the y-intercept where the thing crosses the y-axis, the vertex, which if it points up is the bottom of the parabola. If it flips and points down, the vertex will be the topmost point. And then straight down the middle is an axis of symmetry, they call it, a line of symmetry. It's a vertical axis at an x value. So this value tells us the axis of symmetry. It tells us the x-coordinate of the vertex. We do a little extra algebra to find the y-coordinate. And then simply the the value of c is this thing right here. So we're just going to do a couple problems. A little quicker lesson than usual, I think, today, because you've gone through the basics. You can always fire them back up and refresh yourself with anything you want. We is going to do a couple problems. So here we go. Example number 1. So you want to get y all by itself. So when you see y equals, that's a good thing. Negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 5. So what we learned was the value of listing a, b, and c. So a is the coefficient, they call it, the number that's multiplying times the x squared. So it's the coefficient of the quadratic term in algebra speak. So it's negative 2. You got to make sure and write negative 2. The b value is the coefficient of that linear plain old x term, so that's a positive 8. And our c value, they call this the constant. It's just the plain old number. It's not 5, it's negative 5. And that's what we're going to use. So the first thing we do is we are going to evaluate this bugger right here. So x equals negative b. So I got negative, there's b, over 2 times whatever a is. So here's negative b, because b is positive here, 2 times a. So that equals negative 8 over negative 4. A negative divided by a negative is positive, so x equals 2. So your most important thing to be careful is plugging this and doing it right. Because if you get this value wrong, everything else will be messed up. Okay, so here's what you just found. You just found the axis of symmetry. The axis is x equals 2. So here's what that tells you. You can come over here and at x equals 2, you can go ahead and draw that axis of symmetry in. Okay. Now I didn't find the whole vertex for you, but it found half of it, if you will. So the vertex, it tells you the x-coordinate. You don't know what the y-coordinate is. It's not a 7, that's a parenthesis. So I still have to do work to find that y value, okay, because I need that as part of my graph. So in order to do that, I'm going to erase this, but x equals 2. X equals 2. Just to refer to it, I'll write right here. X equals 2. So now I'm going to write this equation out. And wherever I had the x, I'm going to put in positive 2. So x is 2, so I'm going to put a 2 where the x was. Okay, so I do power first before multiplying. 2 squared is 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Don't write 10, you're multiplying. And then minus 5. So negative 8 and positive 16 gives you a net result of positive 8. Minus 5, 3. So y equals 3. So that's this. So now I can come over to my thing and I can plot the vertex. So now I know the x and the y. So I go 2 over and 3 up. 1, 2, 3. So there's my vertex. And I've done all the hard work. Guys, all right? So you do this, you get that x equals, that's your axis of symmetry, the orange dotted line. That's your x-coordinate of your vertex. Plug that value into the equation and get the y-coordinate. Plot your vertex. The last thing is the y-intercept. It's the easiest. What we learned was, I'll show this again in case you missed this the first time. Every single time you have a y-intercept on the y-axis, you don't go right or left at all, so x is 0. So if you evaluate this, whoops, let me write that 2 there, sorry, sloppy. Where x is 0, you'll see what happens. Again, I'm putting a 0 in here because I want to know the y-intercept. At every single point on the y-axis, x is 0. You don't go right, you don't go left, so x will be 0. So 0 squared is 0 times negative 2 is 0. 8 times 0 is 0. Minus 5, so you get negative 5. So we learned that the y-intercept, you don't got to go through all that stuff. It's just the c value every time. Guaranteed. So the y-intercept is negative 5. So you come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. And now you're ready to try to sketch out that parabola. This is kind of a tricky one. So don't forget this. This is symmetry means balance. So this point is 2 away here. So you got to find 1, 2 away over here. See that? So now that's my parabola. Try and draw the curve. And there you go. So this one points down. If you do enough of these, you'll learn to recognize at the start when they point down or not. I can tell you it's basically if the x squared term is negative, got y by itself, and that's negative, we're going to point down like that. Okay? So the x value gives me this, gives me that. I plug in to get that. The c is your y-intercept. Draw my graph. Done. Is right with that? Can handle? Okay. Let's do one more. I want to show you something here. I'll go ahead and leave these words down here. I'll erase these values. I'm just going to find the information on this next one. Okay. So we're on example number 2. Just for you, okay, here we go. Y minus 4x equals x squared plus 8. Now, if you're in a rush when you do this, you're going to get messed up. So this one you can't start yet. You can't do anything yet. And the reason is you don't have y by itself. So on some of these, you got to do a little upfront work before you can do anything else. So to get y by itself, there's my equal sign. I got to get rid of this minus 4x. So I go and add 4x to both sides. That's where all your training, like terms and all that comes into play. So minus 4x plus 4x cancels. That's a good thing because look what I got now. When you write this, keep that form. Be smart about it. So it's x squared. Those cannot be put together. If you made a mistake and put 5x or something, fix it. Those are unlike terms, different power, even though the variable is the same. Different power, not like terms. Okay, now you're good to go. Okay, I picked this one on purpose because you might go, oh, A, there's no A value, it's 0. There is a value. Remember, any kind of variable like that, where nothing's in front of it, the number that's in front of it is 1. So my A is 1, my B is 4, my C is 8. All right? Okay, so we might as well do that thing right there. So, there's my red. X equals negative B over 2a. So make sure you put the right, so there's your negative b, there's your 2a. So that equals negative 4 over 2. This time x equals negative 2. Guys, all right? Okay, so you can go through the same process. This time my axis of symmetry is going to be this way. Okay. So x equals negative 2, vertex negative 2. I don't know what. I'll go ahead and write this. Well, I'll show you in a minute. We'll go through this carefully. So x is negative 2. I'll field that over there just to make sure. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to put negative 2 up here. You got to be careful with this. I wanted to show you this. That's negative 2 squared plus 4 times negative, oops. See what Mr. Pat just did? I did the multiplication already. So negative 2 squared is negative 2 times negative 2, so that's positive 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 plus 8. So that's negative 4 plus 8, that's 4. So my y is 4. So now I can come over here and go negative 2 to the left, 4 up. 2 to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. So the red line is my axis of symmetry. My vertex is this bugger right here. Okay, let's finish this thing. The y-intercept, we don't got to go through all that. It's the c value is 8. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same plan like before. If this is 2 to the right, there's got to be 1, 2 to the left. So now you can draw your parabola. I'm just going to kick this thing out of the way. And ladies ladies and gentlemen, you have just graphed another parabolic function. Okay, so those are quadratics that curved. It's a great little practice review right there. If you've done this before, if you've never done it, you can spin back and look at it, give you a heads up before you have to do it in your class. Okay? All right, so Mr. Pat from Kailua Boys and Girls Club, sending you aloha. Okay, take care of each other, take care of yourself. Okay, always remember to give the other person courtesy of having thought processes that they believe in. Not everybody will think like you. You won't think like everybody else, and that's okay. All right, looking forward to when we can see you again in person. Hopefully you're tuning in this stuff, having some fun with the music, and learning a little bit of math. Okay, Mr. Pat, Kailua Boys and Girls Club, aloha.